realized how many people were actually invested in helping people my age with their mental health.
Hey everyone, it is Christine XP. Welcome to the Brain XP community, and this is the Spotlight series. In today's episode, I sat down with Anastasia, an amazing youth mental health advocate who overcame her struggles and is now helping other youth overcome their struggles through the Instagram account This Is My Brave Teens. This Is My Brave Teens provides mental health resources and a platform for teens to share their stories. In today's episode, Anastasia will tell you about her mental health journey along with This Is My Brave Teens and how you can become more involved. So let's get into the episode. So can you tell us about yourself and your mental health journey?
Yes. Okay. So my mental health journey started all the way in 7th grade, where I started experiencing social anxiety for the first time in my life. I just started getting a lot of butterflies in my stomach when I had to speak to people, and I decided to choose silence over voicing my thoughts and opinions out of fear that others would judge me or not accept me. And so that was kind of the beginning stage of my anxiety. And then it transitioned into anxiety in sports because I played tennis for a majority of my teenage years. And so anxiety would affect my performance a lot of the time. And then in 8th grade, I started to develop restrictive binge eating disorder, which then was accompanied by depression. And so I had this mix of anxiety, depression, and eating disorder basically all throughout middle school and high school. And I started doing therapy in March, I believe, of 2020. So even though 2020 was quite chaotic and I don't wish to go back in time, I am really glad that I was able to at least do one positive thing for me, which was go to therapy and begin my eating disorder recovery journey. And through that, I also learned a lot of really great healthy coping mechanisms for my anxiety, and I'm no longer depressed. And my depression was never super severe. I kind of floated in and out of depressive phases. But yeah, I struggled with those 3 things primarily with my mental health.
Gotcha. And you said that this all kind of started around 7th grade, so about 12 to 13 years old?
Yes, yeah.
That is, yeah, I
Really.
remember that's kind of where I started with my struggles as well. So it's really interesting how middle school can be either great time or it can be a really horrible time.
Oh yeah,
But
no,
yeah,
I
it's
know.
definitely
And
making the most of it.
and
Yeah.
my friends and I talk about that all the time, about how middle school just totally sucks. I mean, I think it's kind of universal that middle school is just not the brightest time in our lives at all. And yeah, I think that's where most people begin noticing their mental health struggles, which is really unfortunate because we're still so young at that age, and it sucks that we have to go through that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just think that middle school is an icky time.
Yeah, definitely.
But like I said, we'll all make the most of it, and we learn from our mistakes and what's happening with us.
Yeah.
So can you talk about This Is My Brave Teens and how you play a role in that?
Yeah, so I was introduced to Jennifer Marshall, the executive director of This Is My Brave, after I spoke at the Our Minds Matter annual gala, which is a mental health organization. Well, Our Minds Matter is a mental health organization, and basically that was my first real involvement in the mental health space. And I basically just talked about my experience with mental health and what I hoped for my generation's mental health. And that was my first experience with mental health advocacy, and I just gravitated towards it immediately. It just felt very natural to me. And so at that event, I met a wonderful woman who's now a good friend and mentor of mine, and she introduced me to Jennifer Marshall, exec director of This Is My Brave. And we started talking. I was telling her that I want to help my peers, and she said that she has an opportunity at her organization for me to run the This Is My Brave Teens account, because they have their own separate This Is My Brave Instagram account, but they needed a specifically teen initiative. And I was more than happy to run it. And so I've been interning for This Is My Brave since January of 2020. So it's been basically, it's been over a year, which is really crazy to say, because I started off with that account when it had like 15 followers, I think. No one really knew what was going on, what it was about and stuff. And yeah, so since then, I've grown the account itself in the audience. I've also created a lot of content, because all of the content that's put out on This Is My Brave Teens is created by me. And so I have a very personal attachment to it, because I love everything that I do and I post on there. And then in addition to This Is My Brave Teens Instagram account, I'm also the host of the Brave Wave podcast, which is being released this year, so stay tuned. Yeah, it's really exciting. It's going to be me interviewing all of the teens that have been involved with This Is My Brave shows, and also other mental health specialists. And yeah, so we're still working on the development phase of the next few seasons, but I'm really excited for that. And then in addition to that, I kind of jump around in my roles at This Is My Brave because it's kind of like working at a startup venture where there's just like a lot of different projects to take on and all of that. And so I've also worked on some mental health campaigns, and I also run webinars about mental health, specifically how parents can talk to their teens about mental health. So yeah, just lots of little projects here and there that hopefully improve the state of mental health in society.
So you said that it kind of all started when you spoke at a conference or something like that.
Yeah.
So did you find that to be a scary experience, or were you like, was it life-changing for you? Like you're, oh my gosh, I want to be an advocate, or what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. Like I had never publicly spoken in my life. And I decided to apply because basically I had to complete an application and submit the speech that I wanted to present. And I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about after like running Our Minds Matter at my school for 1 month. And so then I was luckily selected, and that ended up being the most life-changing experience because I think that was kind of the catalyst for the rest of the mental health work that I've done since. But it was terrifying. Like speaking in front of several hundred people is really nerve-wracking. And I remember like 5 minutes before I had to go on stage, I was kind of sitting towards the front of the like venue, and then I ran to the bathroom really quick, and I literally did deep breathing and meditation and stuff, and like the power pose thing, which I don't know if that worked, but I mean I guess it did because the speech went okay and all of that. And so I was just amazed by the feedback that I received because I didn't realize how many people were actually invested in helping people my age with their mental health. Like there were dozens and dozens of adults that came up to me and were telling me about different ideas that they had or different organizations that they wanted to start or ways that I could get involved with their mental health initiatives. And I was like, whoa, like I spoke once at this event, but this is just crazy. And I mean, it was definitely, the reason I spoke at that event was because I really wanted to be courageous and stand up for the kids who didn't quite have that power within them to speak just yet because maybe they weren't at that point in their recovery, but I wanted their voices to be heard. So I wasn't just doing it for me, I was also doing it for everyone who was still in that place that I used to be in of like depression or anxiety and stuff. And then I was also just filled with so much hope afterwards because again, interacting with all of those people who were so passionate, it was just it was really cool. It's like the best and worst way to explain it because I know cool doesn't really mean much, but it was really cool. So
No, I totally get that. And it's really
yeah.
funny too, because since we're both similar in age, we're teenagers, it just reminds me of like when I started speaking also, I would have my mom there with me at the different conferences and everything. And I'd be like, Mom, that was so cool. It was like, I don't know why, it just gives you that feeling of like, wow, I'm actually doing something good. And it's like that whole
Yeah,
advocacy ride, it just changes you, you know, in the best way
totally.
possible.
I
Yeah.
completely agree. Yeah.
So how is This Is My Brave Teens working to eliminate stigma surrounding mental health and everything?
So the primary thing that This Is My Brave and This Is My Brave Teens, both of them do, is showcase other people's mental health stories. So if you scroll through the This Is My Brave Teens Instagram account, you'll notice that here and there are other teens' mental health stories scattered around. And I try to just involve teens and encourage them to share their mental health story and be vulnerable, to encourage other people to talk about mental health, because the whole point of This Is My Brave is storytelling, and the point is that storytelling saves lives, because it really does. You know, when you hear one person being super vulnerable and transparent about their really difficult experiences, it inspires you to also perhaps start the conversation around mental health or share your mental health struggle, or even go up on stage and share it like I did, or other kids or other people who participate in This Is My Brave shows did. And so in addition to that, we also post a lot of mental health resources, which I think we can get into later in one of the other questions. And yeah, I just try to be as vulnerable as possible and talk about my eating disorder experience, because what I noticed when I was going through restrictive binge eating disorder is that, or was that, I couldn't really find many digital creators that I could relate to, because I turned to YouTube or like articles or bloggers to find someone who was young and was also going through binge eating disorder, but I couldn't find many people, because I guess it's also a relatively like new eating disorder. It's not as common as anorexia or bulimia or as well known or taught in schools. So it's just really difficult to find content about that. And it made me feel really hopeless and alone. And so I want to be that figure for other young girls who are perhaps in the same situation going through an eating disorder. And I want them to know that you should always have hope. There is a way out. You will overcome this and everything. And so, yeah, the whole point is just storytelling, being vulnerable, and that in turn reduces the stigma because it shows people that, you know what, you can be a totally functioning human being and still have a mental disorder. And yeah, that's kind of the whole point.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm kind of hearing is that the storytelling and the lived experience sharing, that's been very beneficial in your guys' community, and are teens really connecting with each other through that? Because I know that lived experience is just so powerful.
Oh, totally. And I think that what I've noticed as I've seen that This Is My Brave Teens account grow is that we've cultivated an actual community of teens who are really passionate about mental health or are just looking for a community that they can relate to, you know? And I have so many of the followers of This Is My Brave Teens that reach out to me just randomly sometimes and tell me about like their day or something that they're going through or why they're having anxiety about a certain thing. And it's really cool because it's like, I'm making friends through this basically, you know, like because the conversation of anxiety and depression or sadness and eating disorders is so normal on the account, people feel super free and comfortable reaching out and talking to me, which is really awesome. I mean, I'm not a mental health professional at all, and I don't like give them like specialist advice or anything. I do the best that I can to help them out. But I mean, after all, this isn't like a therapy platform at all, and I try to stress that. But yeah, if I can give a piece of advice here and there, I always really want to, and I love responding to our followers and everything and engaging with them because I know that it's just a group of teens, you know, like teens just like me who are going through the same ups and downs and all of that. And I think that also a lot of the kids who are following we also have adults following the account too, but basically everyone who's following the account has a lot of similarities, right? They're passionate about mental health. They want to figure out how to improve their mental health or help their kids or their peers, friends, whatever. And so that kind of brings everyone together and it does create a community. So it's been really cool to see how the community of This Is My Brave Teens has grown over the past year.
Yeah, and that's actually really funny too, because it reminds me, I get DMs all the time through Instagram, or I'll get emails from either teens or their parents or both of them.
Mhm.
And it's just the coolest feeling. Like, I know I'm not a professional, I can't provide like
Right.
professional advice or anything, but sometimes they just need someone to listen. You know, it's not all
Yep.
about giving them the advice or suggestions or anything. They just
Mhm.
want to know that they're heard. And that was like kind of that thing you're talking about earlier, is the youth voice. It's youthful, it needs to be heard. So I
Mhm.
couldn't agree more on
Mhm.
everything you're saying.
Thank
So
you. Yeah.
what other resources does This Is My Brave Teens provide for teens or families or parents or whoever?
Mhm. So our main feed is primarily used for showcasing the stories that I talked about earlier. And then the IG Reels are also used to either tell part of my mental health story or just post like funny, goofy videos that are related to mental health just to brighten someone's day. And then on the stories is where we post a lot of more other mental health resources, such as different hotlines that people can reach out to or other organizations that they can explore and possibly participate in. And also, This Is My Brave itself is a huge mental health resource because it's a huge component of a lot of people's mental health recovery journeys. For example, all of the people that participate in This Is My Brave shows or tell their story through This Is My Brave experience a huge change after doing so. It's kind of like, you know, when you public speak or when I public spoke, it changed my perspective about mental health. It also empowered me to continue sharing my story and helping other people. And it does the same thing to the people who participate in This Is My Brave. And so, yeah, storytelling, reposting other mental health organizations' information and content, and just making the mental health industry seem like a community rather than like a bunch of separate organizations that are competing against one another. Because I mean, at the end of the day, we all have a common goal, which is just to help people with their mental health. And so, yeah, I just try to share as many resources as possible. And then, in addition to other teens' mental health stories on the main feed, I also post a lot of just like random uplifting quotes because I don't know, so it personally helps me a lot when I stumble across those in my feed and stuff. So, yeah.
So yeah, I think that the thing that people sometimes forget when they're in the mental health industry or whatever you want to call it is exactly what you were saying. We just want to lift each other up and grow all together because we have one
Mhm.
common cause. And so I don't know, I don't know how many people I've talked to where it's all about we got to be the best.
Yeah,
No, we don't have to be the best. We have to be the best together. And so
totally.
I just totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like everything really is taking place for This Is My Brave Teens on Instagram. Is that the best place for people to find you and stay up to date?
Yes, definitely. We have the This Is My Brave Teens Instagram account where the majority of our information and content is shared. But then there's also the This Is My Brave website, which is just thisismybrave.org, where you can find more information about participating in shows or just upcoming shows that you can attend, different webinar events and stuff. And also they have a blog section as well where you can read different blog posts. So yeah, Instagram is definitely the primary platform that I'm most active on.
Well, that's awesome. I guess I just want to give it to you now. If you want to say any last comments or anything you want to say, if there's anything at all, but you've been absolutely incredible. I've just loved talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I guess I'll leave off with take care of your mental health because if there's one thing that I've learned over these past few years is that mental health is the most important thing in your life, because at least for me, when my mental health is struggling, most likely so are other aspects of my life as well, like academics, athletics, friendships, just everything. So taking time for yourself, learning about self-care and how to nurture your body, mind, and soul is really important, because I think that is what leads to long-term happiness and health. So learn how to take care of yourself and yeah, prioritize your mental health.
I love that. Oh my gosh, I love you so much. You're the best.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, it has been so nice talking with you. Thank you so much for taking some time. I really appreciate it.
Of course, yeah, anytime.
Everyone, stay
Thank you for
tuned for
having me.
everything happening.
Yes, bye.
All right, guys, I am back. I hope you found this interview with Anastasia helpful. I want to mention she was 17 when we sat down and chatted for this episode. She is now 18 years old, recently turned 18, so please comment below happy birthday to Anastasia. In the description box, you will find This Is My Brave Teens links. Please use their resources and show your love on their Instagram account. Before I go, please give this video a big thumbs up and comment below what you found helpful about this video. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on that post notification bell so you will be notified every time a BrainXP video comes out. And follow BrainXP on Instagram and TikTok at BrainXP Project. Thank you so much to Anastasia for joining me on this episode and the Spotlight series. The episode ends here. Thank you so much for watching. Always remember, stay positive, keep smiling, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!